Hey guys, we're here today in Terre Haute, Indiana to visit with Scheid Diesel and shop owner Dan Scheid.
Scheid Diesel was founded in 1982 with only 5 employees here in Terre Haute. In 1990, the shop opened a second location in Effingham, Illinois, and 9 years later, the Lafayette location opened its doors.
All 3 locations have a fuel injection shop as well as a dedicated drive-in service area. In the more than 40 years since Scheid Diesel was founded, the shop has grown from just 5 to more than 50 employees today between the 3 locations.
Scheid Diesel can service any diesel engine, including but not limited to agricultural, construction, heavy-duty truck, and automotive. Scheid Diesel has also made its mark in the diesel performance market with tractor and pickup truck pulling, as well as diesel drag racing. All right, guys, well, that's enough of us talking. Let's go see Scheid Diesel and talk with Dan Scheid. All right, guys, here we are in the lobby of Scheid Diesel, and I'm with a man that really does not need an introduction, Dan Scheid. Dan, thanks so much for having us in the shop here today. But, you know, Eric and I were talking on the way down. Neither of us have been to the shop. Obviously, we've chatted with you at events and seen you at races over the years, but haven't gotten to be in the shop yet, and would love to get a tour and show the viewers a little bit about what you got going on here at the Terre Haute location.
Yep, that'd be fine. We can go ahead back to the shop here and I'll show you around.
Awesome. Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. This is our diesel fuel injection department here then, and we work on pumps, injectors, and turbochargers, and we started in this building in 1982. And Joe Hackman, who's our service manager here for the diesel fuel injection side of things. So we can turn it over to Joe, and
awesome.
He can kind of show you around a little bit there then and kind of show
Joe,
you the
yeah, nice to meet you. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
So this is where it all began, huh?
Yeah, this is where it all began.
Very cool.
Like I said, this is the heart of all the diesels. We pretty much got to make all the fuel run, you know, or the engines run with the fuel injections. So
That's what makes it happen, huh?
that's what makes it happen. Yeah. So
Joe, how long have you been here at the shop?
37 years.
Oh, wow, okay. So just about since the beginning, huh?
Yeah, almost. So
Very cool.
yeah. So like I said, we got our common rail stand here that we run common rail injectors with, and on the common rail fuel side, you know, we do that testing and a little bit of rebuilding there.
Okay.
And everything, and then we got pop testers over there for the mechanical injectors, and our test stands and stuff are over there. You know, the guys rebuild stuff here. You know, this is pretty much our pop testers, basic stuff here that we got for just popping mechanical injectors.
Yeah.
And we got our test stands. We're running a lot, mainly all the mechanical stuff, and then we got the electronic stuff, you know, like VP44s for 98 through 02 Dodges.
Yeah.
We do some common rail CP3 pumps. We can run them on either stand there if we needed to, things like that. So.
And between the common rail stuff and the mechanical stuff, do you guys have, like, what's kind of the split in terms of the amount of injectors you're doing?
I mean, the Effingham shop does the majority of our injectors
Okay.
as far as the common rail stuff, but we do mostly the mechanical stuff here.
Okay.
We do a few here, but we kind of got certain shops that do, you know, we got 3 shops, so every shop does a little bit of something. So
Right.
we specialize in that. So.
And Dan, I understand there was 5 employees that kind of started the shop, you know, here in the injector department. You know, is it still 5 guys in this department, or, you know, what's kind of
yeah,
like
we're at
We got 3 techs right now.
Yeah.
And then we got, you know, a couple guys up front
Yeah.
and me. Pretty much run the pump shop, and then we do have our parts department. We got a couple guys back there. We're down 1 guy right now.
Yeah.
We just about need another one. So.
Okay. Seems to be the situation for most shops, right? Yeah. Could always use an extra hand, right?
yeah. Finding help is difficult to do for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
Do have a Huey test stand over there that we can test Huey injectors, like for the Powerstrokes, the older Powerstrokes.
Okay.
We use that stand there for that.
Yeah.
There's some of these old military stand like this one here we use for mainly like Model 100s off the Internationals, things like that. So
You get a lot of business still, people just bringing their injectors or their pumps to you.
we do. We do a lot of farm equipment stuff. Do a lot of that, plus the high performance side of it too. So we do quite a bit on both sides. So
Pretty much anything that's diesel, right?
pretty much, yeah. Some of the real big stuff anymore, we can't. We don't really have the equipment to do it. Some of that we got to send off to our centrals, but other than that, we can usually handle most of about anything. So.
Oh, wow.
So here we have our drive-in service area here then, where we
Very
work
cool.
on the vehicles, and we have Greg Jolly here then is our drive-in service manager. So
Hey, Greg.
he can show us around a little
I'm also
bit here
Greg.
then on what we're doing. Yeah.
Very cool. No, this is a nice space.
This is our drive-in shop area. I mean, as you can see, we've got a vast variety of equipment out here. We've got, your newer trucks with maybe some emissions problems, injectors issues, all the way back to keeping the old 6.5 on the road, or
Oh,
your
wow.
old cab over back there getting an overhaul. So we do a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
We also, over here, if you want to follow me, we have our DPF cleaning room, where we're able to take some DPFs off the machines and pneumatically clean them, help keeping these newer trucks on the road.
Okay.
Help save, thousands of dollars if
Yeah.
we can.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these things are $3,000-$4,000, and when we can get them in and cleaned up for under $1,000, it's beneficial to everybody.
How long does that process take?
The whole process takes a few hours. We'll bring them in here, basically pen test them, make sure there's no oil contamination, no burning, where things have kind of gone haywire on the truck. After that, they'll put them in the pneumatic blaster, kind of cleans everything, pressurized air, blows out all the soot and ash, and then if it's okay from there, we put it back in service. If it still needs to go, then we obviously have a kiln over here to superheat everything, and then go basically repeat the process until we can get it as clean as possible before putting it back on the vehicle.
Very good. And how often does it have to do like multiple cycles versus just one cycle?
Most cases, one cycle does it. It does a pretty good job.
Yeah.
Some cases, it just depends on, it's case-by-case basis.
Yeah.
Depending on how the truck goes. But a lot of these are more like your utility companies where trucks are sitting idling for numerous hours. That's where you see most of these failures happening. So.
Gotcha. Yeah, makes sense. Well, that's neat. Yeah. You don't see that every day, right?
Yeah, no, right. Very, very few.
Cool. So Dan, back out here, I was curious, you guys have, 5-6 trucks in at the moment. How many trucks can you have in the drive-in service area at once?
We're getting pretty close. We got room for a couple more, but right now we've got a few big projects. Obviously, we got an engine replacement here for a city bus. We've got the overhead going on the cab over. So yeah, we have a little bit of room left out here, but a lot of projects going on, bigger projects with engine replacement over here on the city bus, and then we also have overhead engine going on, or top end kit on the cab over back there. So almost at capacity, but we're working.
And obviously you guys are well known for the Cummins platform. Is that primarily what you guys are doing in here, or do you guys get other?
It goes
other
in
diesels?
waves.
Yeah.
It goes in waves. We see a wave of Cummins, then we'll see a wave of Fords. So it's not one thing over the other.
Yeah. Okay. So you guys will tackle whatever's coming
We'll tackle whatever we got. We got old tractors over there.
Yep.
So a little bit of everything.
Yeah. Great.
So Dan, when did you build this drive-in shop here?
It was completed in 2018, so it's relatively new. This is our third edition here to the complex here at Terre Haute.
Okay, this is a beautiful shop.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Do you know how many square feet you guys have just here? Or?
It's 80 by 160 for the whole building here.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Here's the machine shop.
Yeah. So here we have the machine shop there then, and so At this time, I can kind of turn it over to Todd. He's our machine shop manager, and he can go ahead and show you around there then on
cool. Hey, Todd.
some
Greg.
of the equipment that we
Nice
have.
to meet you.
Todd, Eric, great to meet you.
Yeah, good to have you.
So you're in charge of this whole
Well, when he
process
lets
here.
me, yeah, that's pretty much how it goes. I've been with Dan. He's let me be here about 19 years.
Oh, awesome, awesome.
Yeah,
Very
I lean
good.
a lot on Jared Jones.
Okay.
Jared Jones helps us out a lot over here in the Reman facility.
Yeah,
And if I could show you guys some of that, that'd be awesome.
yeah. Hey, Jared. Good to see you again. Yeah, yeah.
Jared, nice to meet you.
Yes, sir.
All right. Yeah, I'll follow your lead. Show us.
All right, let's run over here.
All right. He's got a couple of Rottlers.
Yeah, yep, sure. So what we've got here is we've got basic reman, but we also do our own billet head work over here on these machines.
Okay.
I'll have Jared take you through a little bit of our reman program.
Yep, so I'll show you what we do to these. This is a 6.7 liter cylinder head, so it'd be
Yeah.
2007 to current, to 19 actually, until they turn into the hydraulic engines. So anywho, we do like a high press seat into them, and then we do these plugs right here like to rust out on certain applications. So we try to stay ahead of those, and we put actual pipe plugs in. And then on the spring side, we'll end up threading these holes as well.
Yeah.
You don't want to have a plug failure under the valve cover and fill your crankcase full of coolant, and then the customer is not going to know that's happening.
Right.
Tear an engine up pretty quick doing that. So
Right.
those are preventions that we try to do into our reman programs
Okay.
to ensure the customer is going to have a good product.
Yeah. Yeah. Very cool.
So one of the things we do here at Scheid Diesel is we got to get the fuel in there, right? So
Yeah.
as we're building horsepower, a lot of times it comes down to fuel. So we have to manage that with our injection system. And here, I don't know if you can see it or not, but we have to change the spray angles in the engine. This is a C-Series billet head we produced a few years back, and this customer needs some different angles, putting some different pistons, different bore, piston cup bore.
Yeah.
So we'll have to modify piston for the new piston.
Okay.
These angles here, we're developing those as we go, and we'll EDM those out. EDM is electrical discharge machining. I don't know if you're familiar with that much, but we use a spark on materials that are too hard to drill.
Okay.
And then we can extrude hone that afterwards to smooth that finish up or whatever we need to do.
And so this is kind of like a model that you guys have set up for spray angles and
Right,
things like that?
right,
That's
right.
cool.
So we'll
Okay.
have to develop, we'll look at this, analyze it, and we'll change the angles accordingly to what the customer needs to try to get the most horsepower, and then we'll
Yeah.
dyno prove it.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't matter what our best guess is if it doesn't make numbers on a dyno.
Right, right.
So,
That's very cool.
Is that angle, that injection angle, is that related directly to the piston in the combustion chamber?
yes, all of it. It's really, we've found horsepower in just as much as rotating this assembly. Not really even changing the angles on this, but actually just rotating it a little bit. We found horsepower. So when you get in the higher horsepower application, everything matters. Fuel delivery has to be superb with the air that we're getting, and the way the valves open makes certain swirl or tumble in the system. So if the head is being modified by someone, a lot of times they'll come back in and we'll need to modify the injector tips for that new tumble or swirl that's happening.
And in terms of the injector tip itself, do you guys change how many like holes it's spraying out?
Spray
of?
holes?
Yeah.
We have different options, base options. 5 seems to be a happy spot for a lot of things until we get common rail. Then we utilize more holes for common rail applications because that's a little different fuel delivery animal on how it's producing fuel.
Yeah.
So taking holes that are maybe 10 thousandths up to 30 thousandths is what we do.
Yeah. Okay. Very good.
And also manufacturing holders along with that too for different applications and for different types of cylinder heads. We are actually manufacturing the holders to hold the nozzles as well, to where that we can fit that application on the special needs on them, whether it be common rail or mechanical fuel injection.
All right, so we're over here with Steve. We've got our Haas ST20Y over here, and Steve's really championed this cam project. Dan's needed some tool steel cams for our pumps, and Steve's really come together and taken our geometry we've developed, by just bare bones machining, and he's really taken that and put it in the CNC so that we can produce high performance camshafts. I'll let him talk a little bit about what he's got there.
Yeah, this is the second operation on this billet cam. So we turn it, and this machine has the ability to form the lobes on it also in a rough state, and then it has to be ground, hardened and ground, and then we do some more hard turning on it after that. But yeah, this has been my baby for the past 18 months or so.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you said this is for a fuel pump?
Yeah, this is for a P7100 fuel pump.
Okay.
So I'm sure the Bosch engineers who designed that would love to see what we're doing with their stuff. So.
Very good.
Yeah.
But you guys can do any type of cam in this machine. Is that what it's kind of?
Yeah, that's
focused on?
what it was. That's what it's focused on.
Okay.
This has been my first and only cam that we've been producing on here, but
Okay.
there has been talk of expanding that to other cams.
Yeah.
So
very
yeah.
cool. Awesome.
All right, gentlemen, so while Steve's keeping that going, he's also running another machine for us. This is a production mule for us, this Mano, and as you can see here, it's dropping off our delivery valve holders. These go in the top of the P7100 pump, and he's got the program down to spit those out very efficiently. It comes over here, and we do all our inspection and gauging according to our certs and what we need to. And here you can see some of the cams that are out of the machine, and that was the first op, and then now, as he told you, he was setting up on the second op. So that's what we're looking at here. Did you have any questions about that?
Well, so Todd and Dan, obviously you guys have other shop locations that do different things. So, the machine shop here, it's more focused on the fuel side of things versus, the full engine side of stuff?
Well, we can go a little bit further with it to some of the other machines. So
Okay.
we're actually manufacturing cylinder heads and intakes and valve covers and dry sump oil pans and
Okay.
a lot of other features of the billet engines along with that. And we also do some manufacturing there then for the performance side of the fuel injection on mechanical injection, like modifying gears and harmonic balancers and anything that touches the motor's got the possibilities for some improvements. So
Right.
we try to catch in on all of that.
Okay. But then I do understand that the Effingham location does a lot of machine work down there too, right?
Well, the Effingham location, they are set up basically about like what we are, but the
Okay.
machine shop side of it is basically done here in Terre Haute.
Okay.
And so over there, they're building more of the common rail injector stuff,
Okay.
and they are doing most of the builds on the engines at that location. And then
Gotcha.
at Lafayette, we are still doing the drive-in work and the fuel injection work. We've just got one tech at the Lafayette location. And then we also have a location in Attica, and that's where we do a lot of the high-end builds on the performance engines there then. With Kent Crowder is the manager there. And we also have a 4,000 plus horsepower flywheel dyno there then. So that's
wow.
where we do our testing at on the dyno then. Yep.
Very cool. All right.
Yep.
Yeah, see, I didn't know all that.
Yeah.
That most of the couple of the shops are set up very similar and do
Yeah.
a whole bunch of different work. So
Yeah.
very cool. All right.
Yeah. So that gives us the opportunity then to trade off a lot of times too. If one shop doesn't have the ability to do it, then we can change shops and go to the other shop, and we might be able to get it out a little faster or have that product on hand ready to go.
Right.
Well, if you pan down here, you can see some of our work from billet to somewhat finished product. There's some years of development happening here. Dan can probably tell you more about that piece over there that he and Jared took apart at one time.
Yeah. So that was our very first aluminum block that we purchased there then, and that's an LSM block, and it's also water jetted as well. So it's a water cooled block. Can be water cooled. We wasn't running it water cooled, but as you can see, we probably had about 300 passes on it at that particular time, and it actually split the block and lifted it off to the side of the dragster, and he's running about 160 mile an hour at that time, and it was hanging on, so the turbos and the cylinder head was all laying to the side, and so it was good that it didn't get under the tire or anything, because we could have really had a catastrophe then.
For sure.
So anyway, we beefed up the blocks since then and made them a little thicker, and we really haven't had any other failures with them. And that one paid for itself by all means.
Well, it makes for a cool display now, right?
Yeah. Cool. So this is what can happen.
Yeah.
And,
wow.
So now then, whenever we're drag racing, we also run straps around the motor there then, so that if by some chance that does happen, at least that will help keep it contained on the engine. And we run straps on the pulling engines as well, to where that we can kind of keep everything contained, because if they blow out, they can actually end up on the ground and run over it, and then you got a real mess on your hands.
Right.
So.
Well, and then, from that point, we started a billet block program here, and purchased the Centroid 560 for that.
Right.
And we've morphed that program, and we have the billet intakes, as Dan was wanting more air and wanting to do more with our air. We were able to take actually that chunk there and build this billet intake out of it. So that's what it starts as, and this right here, this lower assembly, is what it becomes. Even now, Dan and Jared, the dragster team, have a new request, and we're building another one of those with different modifications up on porting presently. So that's going to be on the machine probably this week.
Okay.
And
it's always cool to me, like what it starts out as, a big chunk of metal, and then you lose so much weight in the final product.
Well, and you're able, we had weldments for years, right? And weldments with aluminum, they really fatigue, and those cracks can fatigue out, and you can end up and have some issues with that. So going to that billet, it is more costly on the front side, but our goal is that our customer is going to see the longevity and the quality for more than one season, and not have to dip back in and touch up welds, right? Because safety becomes a factor when you're boosting things 200 pounds, those. I've coined the phrase around here where it seems like we're trying to build horsepowers and hold-togethers all at the same time, and that's one of the items we use to build those hold-togethers for the team.
Yeah. So very cool.
And then here you've got this kind of started out here, and this is a billet aluminum program where we've got 24 valve and 12 valve billet aluminum heads that are being manufactured. You can see on the machine right up there, there's one being machined presently. So you can get your eyes on the prize in there, seeing it happening for real.
Do you do all the design work for the intakes and the cylinder heads? Do you do that here in the offices up front?
Well, it's taken really the whole team to develop a good product, right? I mean, it's aged through the morph of, okay, we're going to try this work, this doesn't work. And it really takes the whole Scheid team to come up with a product like this, because, in Effingham, different facets, Dan's drag racing is different demands than our pulling customers. And we're melding that together to get the most performance for everyone, learning different things from each facet. The diversity of Scheid, having the drag racing and the pulling together, I believe has given us a leg up in the market, really.
So it's really everybody's ideas together about what's going to work for any various application.
Well, and out here exactly. And out here on the floor, we got 10 guys that are plugged in that, have been doing this, and they come, they're not just machinists. These guys have diesel in them, and they're not just machining. They have some ownership and pride in their product. So they come up with ideas and things. It's not just one guy.
So everybody's really an enthusiast here. They're all really into
Yeah.
what you do. That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
All right, so I've talked to you guys a little bit about, Jared talked to you about our Reman program and our Reman Heads and how we go through those. Whenever we're going through and making a Reman head, we always keep in mind that guy's gonna probably want some horsepower. So we put them on the shelf without the firings really being done in them. And that way the person calls, they want firings, they don't want firings. Compared to their application, we're able to make that adjustment on the fly, get it done for the customer and get it out. So what Logan has here on the machine is one of those heads. This is the 110-pound SBI head. It's a 24 valve with the spring 6.7, and this will be firing as you're here today. You'll probably see it done over on the table later. Yeah. And just to kind of explain what fire ringing is, this technology, we do the same thing for 300 horsepower basically that we do for 3,000 horsepower. We've been doing this for over 18 years on this CNC. A lot of industry does it a little different. We kind of piloted the radius groove program, and what this does is really allows the steel ring. We have the factory head gasket, right? We cut out the factory ring, and then we insert a steel ring, and that steel ring is got a special heat treatment to it so that we can provide the right amount of crush that allows that head gasket to seal up your water, but it puts more pressure to hold those combustion pressures when a guy's going a little bit more boost or a little bit more fuel. We're able to contain that in the B series Cummins. I've done this for B series and C series, and a lot of this is different than O-ring technology. The difference from O-ring technology to firing technology, firing is like a 105 or bigger wire that is holding the combustion in, the compression in. Where O-rings, when you hear that, which really came over from the gasser market, that is using the factory firing that's in the gasket, and you're inserting a steel wire that's 40 thousandths, and you got a protrusion of maybe 10 or so, and you're zipping, you're going to press that very fine wire down into that factory combustion ring. Okay. And that has an application for sure, and that works for people. We don't do that here unless it's on a Powerstroke or something that technology really fits that gasket. Yeah. This technology fits us for what we're doing here.
Very good. And then the firing is just done on the head, right? There's nothing done on the block.
Right. There are people that do a half and half, okay. But Logan here is able to hold the tolerances we need. My opinion of a half and half system is I have to cut my tolerance. We only have 2/1000ths a tolerance across this whole head. That's all we're allowed. And if I do something on the block that's 2/1000ths and on the head that's a 2/1000ths tolerance, those things, am I going to end up with 4/1000ths? Is that 4/1000ths in the right direction? Is it in the wrong direction? We're able to make this work with just doing it on one side. It's more simplistic for the customer, and you don't have to necessarily fight setting up two things. And it's a little more efficient and less costly for the customer to just work on one side, right. Whether it be the block or the head. Just work on one side.
Right. Okay. Very cool.
For this Reman program, do you constantly seek out cores then?
Yeah.
So you're keeping them going through the rotation, keeping them in stock?
Yeah, cores have been a real big deal, yeah. I think presently, we have about 5 of each part number on the shelf, but we're always looking for cores, and it seems like every year that goes on, cores become harder to find because they've got more hours or mileage on them, right? And they're cracked out or whatnot.
Is there anything that you can't repair? For example, you said your tolerance is 2/1000ths. If they're warped beyond that, or is there some certain type of damage that you find on some of these cores that make them unusable?
Yeah, we have to deny core on product. And what that happens is we have a minimum thickness that we're looking at. Okay. And that minimum thickness we do not go past unless the customer mandates it. And then they're kind of it's on them, right? I can't warranty you something that's not built Scheid right, to Scheid expectation. It's on them. So if we have a customer that's looking for a value, then we might navigate them with their own core and their own. They're going to wait the lead time for us to build their core the way they want it, and we'll work with them in that manner. All right, well, the only other machine shop item that I have then would be the line room. That's kind of housed under the umbrella of me, and we can go up to the line room and maybe look at that.
All right, sounds great.
Okay.
Okay, in this area here then we have our line bending room, and where we make up different styles of lines. Todd is also, this is his department as well, so I'll turn it on to Todd there then, to where that he can show you around here a little bit and exactly what we're doing in this area.
Well, thanks guys. Thanks for coming up to our line room. This has been a labor of love for quite a few years here at Scheid, being the supplier for aftermarket fuel lines, and you know, it kind of came about. Dan's been supplying fuel lines manually bent for years for his farm customer, construction customer, you know, all those in between. And people that are making a living on their diesels needed fuel lines. They're like spark plug wires, they wear out, you know. So Dan's been meeting that need, and then it kind of came to a point where we needed a little more. The market desired more product and more options in the product, not just the individual who was making a living with it, but that individual who was performing with it in performance points. You know, those are things that needs to happen. So they needed a little more fuel line volume, things like that, more fuel. And then, so behind us, you can see that we've made quite an investment in stocking lines. And each one of these lines are, you know, for different applications. We have common rail lines to mechanical injection lines, inline pump lines, rotary lines, all the things in between. We stock the more common things. There's some things that we don't stock, and those items are made per sample, or we've been given Don over here. I want to introduce you to him. Don's been able to use as much as just a coat hanger pattern to make a line out. So we've had to do quite a few different things to bridge the gap for our customers.
Is it specifically more trucks and the heavy duty, or do you do cars, small diesel, anything like that?
Well, to answer your question, we make lines wherever we can meet the customer's need and specification. So it's interesting you brought that up. Scheid Diesel's been Scheid Diesel forever, but since direct injected gas market came up, you'll find Scheid product on AMG parts and direct gas injected parts as well, because Dan had already kind of been dealing with high pressure lines, and once the gas market came along to needing more pressure and direct injection, we've already figured it out, and we were able to help them out with that. So we kind of covered that up for them too. So it's been neat. We work with a lot of prototyping shops, things like that, or maybe even performance shops that are somewhat European, things of that nature. So we've been able to kind of diversify this area here. I can show you more of it if you'd like to see a little more.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, real quick, guys, this wall over here are manual bend patterns. Okay. So there's only a certain amount of lines, like I said, that we can do on our CNC bender. You'll see in a moment. These types of lines, there's years of patterns that are on this wall that takes individual like Don, has to have some artistry, right? There's a craft here, and so that's why we give them tools or inspection fixtures such as the actual engines. You'll see we have here final fit engines. These engines here will allow, even though there's patterns coming off a CNC or there's patterns being manually bent, we'll be able to put them on the engine or the application that they're going on and make sure that customer gets a decent or a good final fit, right?
And so Todd, what dictates a pattern? You know, is it something that's standard pattern, or how much of it is, you know, custom to a customer?
That depends on the customer. A lot of our like our CNC lines are going to be more of a turnkey line. That line is going to be a pattern that we've proved on that model. That pattern is going to have options as far as the ID, but every item in that, every line in that pattern will be the same length. So you ask what dictates really a line pattern, it's the length of fuel line. These are tuned systems. You can't go having in mechanical injection, and you know, a lot of times in common rail as well, you can't really have different lengths of fuel line coming from your injection pump to your injector. So whenever you have 28.5 inches to go from here to here, you have to have a line that serpentines back to get that 28.5 inches. So to put that all together, you know, the 28.5 inches it might take to get to here, and then have it be able to be clamped so that there's rigidity and doesn't fracture. Those are things that all go into making of the patterns. You can see different angles and things that we've had to come up with. And then with our CNC program, we also have to navigate getting around the tooling on the CNC itself. So that's also a factor in what dictates a pattern, is the makeability on the CNC.
So there's a decent amount of thought that's got to go into all that, and
yeah, it really is. So you remember downstairs, I talked to you about the Mano machine being a real workhorse for us.
Yeah.
So as you see here, we stock thousands and thousands of we build thousands and thousands of our own product for our informs. These are going to be everything from ferrules or, you know, to the nuts, different thread pitches, different applications.
Right.
We have to manufacture all that in-house so that we don't have a huge issue with product flow and meeting our customer needs. One of the things we've had to do over time is bring more in-house so we can control more on being able to have product. Mm-hmm. Our lead time, I'll show you over here on our fuel line. I would say, gentlemen, at this time, this is less than half of our in-stock fuel line.
Wow.
Really? We have to navigate better than a year lead time on fuel line.
Yeah.
Really? So by having, you know, the foresight to get that, I mean, COVID taught us all something, right?
Yeah.
So we went, we get some of this line has coatings done in France. Well, when you shut the whole country down for 6 months, it really makes a dent and a ripple in the whole environment. So to future-proof Scheid Diesel and meet our customers' needs, Dan's really invested in putting a lot of product on the floor in the warehouse so that we can have good product flow.
Yeah, yeah, that's important for sure.
Yep. So here we have housed stainless steel lines, steel, high-pressure tubing. We go from 62 thousandths, which is the inside diameter, 62 thousandths for some of your smaller applications, up to 140 thousandths for some larger fueling applications. Tyler over here is putting informs on, things like that. You know, when you're making up the lines, you got to put the nuts and sleeves and then put the swedges on so that that's all one piece, so that doesn't leak on us and makes a good seal.
Yeah.
So that's what Tyler's over here doing for us.
All right.
And then I'll bring you all the way full circle back to Don, and he can kind of show you what's going on here. So this is going on a rotary VP44 pump.
Okay.
But you can see how close it gets to some of its mechanics there. Whenever I'm saying we have to kind of, the pattern is what gets from the machine also to the customer.
Yeah.
And we still be able to clamp it. That's some of the things that we're doing here is we have to navigate around that. There's some avoidance moves and things that we're able to put in the programming of this machine that allows us to work through it. Plus the specialty gooseneck tooling and things like that. We're able to kind of reach around for some of those different options.
This is one of those machines that's like oddly satisfying to watch, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you look at that and it's like, well, he just ruined that piece of metal, right? It's all bent up. What do you do with that?
Right.
And then to take it full circle, you know, you can see, is that the set you have mocked up over there on the VP? So that was what number line? Number two. All right. So that'll be right down here. So that's one of these lines here is what he's making. Right
Okay.
here.
Yeah.
And so this pattern was built so that we could get a 6-line clamp in here and rigid this system up, because fatigue in lines really wipes them out. And we've had to really invest in making sure a customer can get it clamped up.
Yeah. That's awesome.
We can't stress enough to clamp your lines, and it'll make them last, you know, a little bit longer. So.
Does the fatigue cause the lines to ever, you know, crack or split, or does it just?
That's what happens. You
Okay.
know, it's hardening, right? It's just like bending a paper clip back and forth.
Okay. And then
Thousands and thousands of times. So if you can keep that subsided, then that goes away.
Okay.
And it gives you more longevity. Fatigue is something that we're going to fight with metal. I don't know how we're not going to. So.
Yeah. Ah, very cool.
Yeah.
Any other questions you have about our line?
I don't think so. This was neat to see, though.
Yeah, this is great.
I haven't really seen much of this before, so it's cool what you guys do up here.
All right, great. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah, thank you.
Very nice.